Welcome to this webinar, Positive Behaviour Support for Carers. I'd like to acknowledge the original custodians of the land on which I'm recording this webinar and the lands on which you're watching. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging and welcome all Aboriginal people viewing this webinar. Today, we'll explore the reasons for behavioural difficulties for kids in out-of-home care. I'll introduce you to the positive behaviour support process and we'll look at strategies that support positive behaviour change and how to implement them. Kids in out-of-home care often have behaviours that are difficult to manage. Positive behaviour support is a process that helps us to respond to kids and reduce their behavioural difficulties. This process focuses on understanding and supporting kids by increasing preventative and proactive strategies to reduce the likelihood that behaviours will occur. When we build kids' skills and abilities to cope, their quality of life also improves. You have a vital role in positive behaviour support. You're one of the people who know your kids best. You can help others understand their behaviours, allowing the development of appropriate behaviour support strategies. Implementing these strategies is also one of your main roles. As a carer, it's important to understand that the way adults act and respond to kids is key in reducing their behaviours. Kids' behaviours can fall into one of two main categories: age-appropriate behaviours and behaviours of concern. For kids, behaviours of concern are those that place them at risk, may place others in their environment at risk, may result in them being excluded or removed from activities and services, and can limit their ability to access these supports and services. Common examples of behaviours of concern may include hitting, kicking, spitting, and breaking objects. Now, all kids have age-appropriate behaviours that do not meet the definition of behaviours of concern. These may still be difficult for you to manage or increase stress in their placements. Some examples of these age-appropriate behaviours are refusing to complete tasks, arguing with siblings, and not getting ready on time. Take a moment to think about the behaviours displayed by the kids you care for and which category they fall into. Are they age-appropriate, behaviours of concern, or a mixture of both? It's important to understand that all behaviours are displayed for a reason. The way we respond should be influenced by why the behaviours are being displayed. So all behaviours serve a purpose for kids. There are also a range of reasons that behaviours develop based on kids' experiences. Purpose is the current need that the behaviour serves for kids. This is what they are trying to achieve here and now. Reason is related to past influences and experiences, including trauma. All behaviours also have triggers. These are current events or actions that prompt a behaviour to occur. Think about behaviours like an iceberg in the ocean. Above the surface, we can easily see the behaviours, but below the surface sits the triggers, purpose, and reasons for them. It can be tricky to identify purpose, reasons, and triggers when the behaviours itself is all that you can see. Looking below the surface to identify these can make a significant difference in kids' lives. Triggers for behaviours can include things like being told no, loud noises, busy places, transitions, having too many demands, lack of interaction with others, and hearing raised voices. Many of these triggers are associated in some way with past experiences. The behaviours of kids in out-of-home care is often linked to their experiences of trauma. Most kids in out-of-home care have experienced traumatic events, including physical and/or emotional abuse, neglect, experiences of domestic violence, and multiple losses through removal and placement changes. A traumatic experience is one that threatens a person's life or sense of safety, or the lives of people close to them. It leads to an overwhelming sense of fear, helplessness, hopelessness, or horror, and causes intense physical responses such as increased breathing, rapid heart rate, upset stomach, and dizziness. Most kids in out of home care have experienced complex trauma, which includes multiple traumatic events that begin at a very young age, perpetrated by the child's primary caregivers. These caregivers are the adults who should have been caring for and protecting them. Trauma can impact kids in a variety of ways. Kids' responses to traumatic experiences depend on their age, developmental level, resilience, and the supports available to them. All kids are unique in how they respond to trauma. The impact of an identical event may vary considerably between kids. Trauma in early life can significantly impact development. These experiences can lead to behavioural, emotional, psychological, physical, social, and educational difficulties. Have a look at the slide and see if any of these impacts apply to your kids. Many behaviours displayed by kids in out-of-home care are trauma-related. We should always consider the role that trauma might play in kids' behaviours and use a trauma-informed response. This is called applying a trauma lens. Take a moment to think about the types of trauma your kids have experienced and how this shows in their behaviours. When kids frequently experience fearful or dangerous situations, as they do in complex trauma, the fear centre of their brain is constantly activated. This results in fight, flight, freeze behaviours. When faced with trauma triggers, these responses drive kids to fight, flee, or freeze in order to keep safe. Over time, the brain begins to perceive threat in situations where it may not exist, especially when faced with reminders of trauma. These responses become automatic, and the reminders or triggers often lead to behavioural responses when no danger exists. When kids display behavioural difficulties, it's possible for you to reduce their occurrence and severity. Our responses to behaviour should depend on the category they fall into, either age appropriate or behaviours of concern. But remember that whatever the behaviours are, we should respond with a trauma lens. For behaviours of concern, it's vital to gain support as early as possible. Your caseworker or a behaviour support expert can help to develop specific behaviour support strategies. You also play a pivotal role in this process. Where there are behaviours of concern, a positive behaviour support plan is usually written to help better understand behaviours and shape responses. We should always try to focus on kids' strengths rather than just their behaviours. Knowing what kids are good at and enjoy can help us build better strategies to support them. It's also important not to ignore age-appropriate behaviours, but instead implement positive parenting strategies. Let's explore these strategies now. It's important to implement positive parenting strategies with all kids, as they can help prevent challenging behaviours from occurring. If your kids do display behaviours that are difficult to manage but don't meet the threshold of behaviours of concern, positive parenting strategies can make a significant difference. Kids in out-of-home care can often feel unsafe due to their experiences of trauma, placement changes, and lack of emotion regulation skills. Implementing positive parenting strategies goes a long way to helping kids heal from trauma and start to feel safe. Positive parenting involves learning to effectively support the individual needs and skill development of kids. These strategies prioritise safety, clear rules, boundaries and expectations, positive feedback, and emotional regulation. Let's look at these in more detail now. When kids have experienced trauma, they often feel unsafe. This is because their past experiences were unpredictable, insecure, and removed their sense of control. Providing consistency through structure, routine, rules, and boundaries can help increase their sense of safety. Consistent environments mean kids know what to expect and have a sense of control over their lives. This helps them to stay regulated with minimal behavioural responses. When you are consistent in your responses, kids learn that you're in charge in a positive way. They're less likely to push boundaries when they know you will follow through. To provide consistency, try to keep your rules, expectations, and routine the same as much as possible. Ensure you have clear rules and boundaries that your kids are aware of. Better still, develop rules with them that clearly define the behaviours you want to see. For example, walk inside, use quiet voices, place your phone on the kitchen charger by 9 p.m. Implement daily routines for times like before and after school and bedtime. Consider using a calendar to show when family visits and other important events will occur. Wherever possible, you should provide choice to your kids, as this helps give them a sense of control over their day-to-day lives. In turn, this provides a sense of ownership over what happens to them. Choice making can be as simple as which cereal to have for breakfast or what to watch on TV. Being available to kids day in and day out and providing consistent and predictable responses will make them feel safer. This sense of safety will result in a reduction of challenging behaviours. Another benefit of increasing safety in this way is that you will build stronger relationships with your kids. There are many ways to build connection with kids in your care, including the use of positive feedback. So providing kids with positive feedback highlights what they are doing well and encourages them to repeat wanted behaviours. Positive feedback can be given through praise, encouragement, and rewards. To be effective, any positive feedback used should be specific, immediate, and genuine. Positive feedback should be provided frequently to kids, either verbally using descriptive language or non-verbally through actions like hugs, pats on the back, and smiles. When providing verbal praise, try to identify specifically what was done well and what you liked about it. For example, you could say, "Thank you for turning off the TV as soon as I asked and setting the table. You really were a big help." Providing positive feedback can not only shape kids' behaviours, but help them to feel safe and secure in their placement with you. Using rewards for good behaviours can be a huge encourager for kids. They reinforce the behaviours you want while giving kids a reason to use them. Kids should be aware of the reward they're working towards and what it is that's required to gain it. Rewards should be provided consistently and in a timely way. They should target one behaviour at a time and be achievable. If kids have to wait too long or work too hard to get a reward, behaviours might not change. You might like to work with your caseworker to ensure your rewards programs are effective. Did you know you can seek out opportunities to catch your kids being good? In these instances, you can use positive feedback to praise the wanted behaviours you notice. This moves the focus away from only responding to negative behaviours, which can result in a problem cycle, to supporting strengths and skill building, which is creating a competency cycle. Emotional regulation is the ability to identify and respond to our emotions, which helps us to stay calm and limit distress. This is not a skill that we're born with, but one that develops through childhood with the support of attuned caregivers. Kids in out-of-home care often have a limited ability to self-regulate due to their vulnerabilities and experiences of trauma. But it's never too late to help kids build these skills. You can build emotional regulation skills by using techniques like emotion coaching, modelling of emotional regulation, and co-regulation. Emotion coaching is a useful way to teach kids emotional regulation. Start by being aware of your kids' emotions and tuning into these. To do this, watch and think about what tells you that their emotions have changed. How do you know there has been a change? Consider emotions as an opportunity to connect. When emotions are displayed, don't ignore or avoid them, but use them as an opportunity to teach and discuss. When discussing emotions, take time to really listen to your kids. Show that you understand and don't judge or criticize. The final step in emotion coaching is to support problem solving. This means coming up with new ways to behave and respond to their emotions. A key to emotional regulation is co-regulation, or using your own calm state to help your kids become calm. During co-regulation, you can model your own emotional regulation skills and use emotion coaching strategies. When you yourself stay calm, you can support your kids to calm more effectively. There will be times when more formal strategies are required in response to behaviours. Positive behaviour support brings relevant strategies together into a manageable plan you can follow. Positive parenting strategies such as emotional regulation, positive feedback, and building safety are all useful for preventing or responding to behaviours in your household. However, more formal processes are needed when kids display behaviours that are challenging. This is where positive behaviour support comes in. Positive behaviour support often takes the form of a behaviour support plan, or BSP. These can be implemented for kids in out-of-home care to ensure they are appropriately supported. For kids in out-of-home care, behaviour support plans are required when there are behaviours of concern or restrictive practices are in place. Restrictive practices are strategies that limit kids' freedoms in order to protect them or others from harm. If they are to be used, restrictive practices must be part of a written and approved behaviour intervention plan. Restrictive practices include physical restraint, timeout, which is either where adults' attention is withdrawn or where kids are removed from a situation to respond to a specific behaviour. Restricted access, where independent access to items and activities is limited using a physical barrier. Response cost, where kids lose access to a liked item or activity in response to their behaviour. Psychotropic medications, which are those that are used to change behaviours. These include ADHD medications, antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, mood stabilisers, and medications to assist with sleep, including melatonin. If the kids you're caring for are prescribed medication, check with your caseworker to determine if they require a behaviour support plan. We'll now look at your role in positive behaviour support. Positive behaviour support plans are generally written by a behaviour support expert. While you should not be asked to develop a BSP, you'll play a key role in the process. If your kids require positive behaviour support, work closely with the person developing the plan to ensure it's effective. You are an expert in the kids you're caring for and can help identify behaviours of concern, when they're occurring, and possible reasons and functions for the behaviour. You can also support the development of response strategies. The more that carers are involved during this process, the more successful the outcomes can be. As a carer, your role in implementing behaviour support plans is also vital. Kids cannot change their behaviours alone, and your support can make a significant difference to the behaviours being displayed. Let's look at ways you can support them now. In order to support behaviour change, behaviour support plans focus on two main elements: skill building and environmental change. Skill building provides kids and their carers with new ways of behaving to meet identified needs. Environmental change can help reduce behavioural triggers. Skill building often involves lifestyle and personal skill building. This can include emotional regulation, problem solving, sleep hygiene, and relaxation strategies. It may also focus on implementing clear rules and expectations, reward programs, social skill building, and the building of relationships and the development of communication strategies. Environmental change can include making physical changes to the environment to address light, noise, busyness, and demands. It can also involve removing dangerous objects and introducing chill-out spaces. For both skill building and environmental change, your support and responses are key. Kids cannot change their behaviours alone. Often the adults around them are asked to change their responses and increase support to ensure behaviour improves. This might sound like a lot of work, but the better you can implement suggested strategies, the faster behaviours can improve. In some cases, you will implement strategies exactly as suggested, and either behaviours will not improve or the strategies themselves will be hard to implement in your household. If this happens, it's time to make a change. Talk to the person who developed the plan and work with them to develop new strategies. Supporting adults must take positive steps towards change for behaviour to alter. Be active in the process and speak up about what is or isn't working in your household. Kids should also be involved in the process. Support them to know what strategies are in place and how they'll help with their behaviours. The more kids are aware of their behaviours and why they're occurring, the easier it can be to help them adapt. If you're just beginning a positive behaviour support journey with your kids, make sure you ask lots of questions and be involved in the process. This will make your journey a little easier and maybe a little more successful. Thank you for viewing this webinar. If you're caring for kids who display behaviours of concern, please work with your caseworkers to gain support. While you're an expert in your kids, you're never alone in supporting them. Thank you.